I'm Mena Diaz.
And I'm Candy Marie, and we want to welcome you to the Moving Up Together podcast. This podcast brings you real stories from real people, stories that challenge the stereotypes about poverty.
Real stories that prove what you've heard and may believe about poor people is wrong. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. We're excited to share our kickoff for season 3 with you.
Yes, girl, it is season 3. We are so excited. We're taking the podcast to my coast, the West Coast, and we're focusing on stories from Up Together members in Oakland, California. Even though the spotlight is on Oakland, the triumphs and the challenges Up Together members experience in the Bay Area, it can connect with people across the United States and beyond.
So let's start with a powerful statistic 650,000. We want you to remember that number throughout the episode as you're listening.
Every day, over 650,000 people in the United States experience homelessness. And that's according to recent government figures. And Minna, just to put that number into perspective, the city of Boston, Massachusetts population is slightly above 650,000 people.
Right. And to break it down further, of those 650,000 people experiencing homelessness in the US, more than 5,500 live in Oakland, California. Each person having their own unique journey into homelessness, whether that's job loss, escaping abuse, or coping with mental health issues. But they all count and they all matter.
Yes, they all matter, especially to our guest, Diane Powers. Diane is a member of UpTogether, the nonprofit organization that created this fantabulous podcast. Diane's lived in Oakland for her entire life. She sees the impact homelessness has on her community, and she's overcome homelessness herself.
Now she's turned her experience into a mission to help others in her community. Diane, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Miss Diane, we like to do some icebreakers just to kind of get the party started, if you don't mind. What is your favorite thing about being from Oakland?
Oh, let's see. Um, okay. Parents migrated here from Texas, Nacogdoches, Texas, to Oakland, and this is where they started their family, their lives, got married. Um,
Who? Where is Nacogdoches? You said Nacogdoches, Texas?
Texas. They met, fell in love. My mom migrated to California. My dad followed them, and here we go. So
All right.
that was in 1942, and so um, my mother loved the Bay Area. She came here on a whim. She came by herself. She didn't know anybody. She just said, "I'm gonna go to California and see what she can do." So she came out here, and and I'm glad she did because it's such a diverse community. Um,
Mhm.
Going back, I can remember when we were coming up. My neighborhood in itself was a learning tree because everyone in my neighborhood helped each other. I mean,
Mhm.
when I say it's like people that was there 66 years ago, are some of them are still there, and we are still friends. Um, it's different now, but then a neighbor helped each other. If a child got in trouble, then a parent was there and they chastised them, disciplined them, whatever it was. It literally it took a village, and it worked.
Mhm.
um, because everyone was struggling. No one was in competition. There was that great sense of community, and everyone had family, and everyone was trying to, raise their children to become productive citizens. And ironically, my next door neighbors, um, my mother and my best friend mother, they got pregnant at the same time. Seemed like simultaneously. It's like she and I is like 4 months apart. Then I have a brother and sister who was there. His brother. They just simultaneously got pregnant at the same time. Seemed like okay. So we all had a sibling in each household to grow up together with.
Mhm.
In doing that, it gave us a sense of loyalty to one another and trust, and that has embarked me into a community where I am right now. Um, I have a great sense of trust. I trust people maybe a little bit too much, but that comes from being trustworthy
Mhm.
and coming from a sense of you didn't have to prove yourself in those days as hard as you do nowadays, not so competitive.
Right.
You you came from a sense of loyalty, whereas or common commonality, whereas we knew that if my neighbor didn't have a roll of toilet tissue, wouldn't be a problem to go next door and get one. Nowadays, if you do that, they look at you like, "Oh, you mean to tell me you don't have a no toilet? You don't have toilet tissue?" I mean, what happened? I have no idea. But the black community at that time was much more in in tune to one another. It was not cutthroat. It was all about literally making a dollar out of 15 cents. They genuinely were trying to succeed together. It was nothing like what it is now. It's like if I got the best car, it was never, it was anything like that. So
It wasn't incredibly superficial like it is now. Yeah, and people would invest within themselves, not just, individually or into their own, I'm not gonna say needs, but into their own interests.
and the parents did the best they could, and the thing is that we didn't have just one parent in one household. We had two parents in a household, but we also had every last neighbor parent. It was like if Janice and the Maxis had a baseball game, the whole block went.
The community.
It was like if one played a football game, we all went. We got piled up in the station wagons and we all went. We cheered each other on. And so all the accomplishments that were made through our neighborhood, it was a celebration because we supported each other through everything. I mean,
Yeah.
running relay races, playing tetherball, hopscotch, all that. We actually embraced each other on everything we did. So we moved, my family moved because we outgrew the house that we were living in. My
Mhm.
mom wanted to be in a bigger home, so we moved to East Oakland. And at that time, East Oakland was predominantly white. We were the first black family on our block, which was a culture shock first. Two, they wanted us out. They wanted us gone.
You know, you've seen your community change over the years, right? How do you feel like it's changed?
That's a very, very in-depth question. I don't think an hour would do it. Um, I saw Oakland was predominantly a black community. It was 51% uh, black for the longest, involving the Black Panther Party. When the A's won the World Series, da 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 da. Da. We can go on and on and on. And culturally, we were first in a lot of aspects of things that were going on. What I have noticed that has changed is the fact that anytime blacks move into a neighborhood, the whites move out. Okay. And historically, whites will come back to make their money in our community, but take their money and resources to where they live. And we have not been fortunate enough to do that because of economics, education, uh, competitiveness, and social stigmatism. Okay. So you find yourself in a situation not really grasping what is important. And that's what we have fallen short as. And that's what has changed. Because from when I was younger to where it is now,
Right.
it's all about superficial things, materialistic things, whereas it was much more about people, about a person's identity, their worthiness, um, their contribution. My sister started the Martin Luther King Oratorical. She was a principal at Markham Elementary School. My mom was a principal. We all involved. I worked for Oakland Public Schools myself. We all revolved around education, but that has changed drastically also. So you find out when you get all these different government officials involved in these things that were working, and you come in and change it, then quite naturally everything changes. Everything. Like I said, when I moved out to East Oakland, white people moved out, black people moved in. Then all of a sudden, money was being taken out of our community and taken somewhere else. And so, quite natural, we used to have a Lucky supermarket that left. We had drugstores that left. Um, we had a bowling alley. We had supermarkets. There, everything. When it seems like our people come in, then the money goes out. That's the way it appears. And that's the way it has been in Oakland. Okay. Now, we've had some great leadership. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we've had some great mayors that was genuinely interested in the community. And it seems like when the leadership didn't care, that's when our community started dwindling and not being as interested in the fellow person on the streets.
When that happened, you're describing it's like it's almost you can kind of start to see it becomes like a desert, right?
Mhm.
Of businesses, of grocery stores. How soon after you guys moved into the neighborhood did you start to see that change? And how did that affect your family directly?
Well, we moved in 1968. Actually, I'm not taking that 1967. When Martin Luther King died, when got assassinated, that's when it started just going to pot. Because it was a lot of rioting. The schools around here, I went to Webster Elementary School, and he actually got assassinated on my birthday. And they closed down the schools for days, and there were looting like it was everywhere else.
Mhm.
And of course, people got were afraid, and so people don't get it that when you tear down your own neighborhood, they're not going they're not going to put any money back in it. They're gonna go let it take somewhere else, and they're gonna move out, and that's what they did. So when the rioting happened, then Caucasians moved out, and then you we're left holding the bag because we destroyed it, and then bam, you got everybody moving out. You got people losing their homes. You got the drug epidemic coming in.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah. You mentioned that in a previous video where you said the crack epidemic hit your neighborhood really hard.
Yeah, heroin, dog food, and crack was real prevalent. Because that was a mode of escape. A lot of people found themselves they didn't know what to do. They was lost and turned out, and even in my own family, even with me, it's just you get into a realm of despair because you want to see something so cool, and then the next thing you know, it just turns around. It's like, what happened? The it just the page turned and people got lost, and
Mhm.
that's when people started being a little bit more cutthroat because they were trying to get that next hit. I'm sorry, that's what it was, or that next high, opposed to trying to salvage their neighborhood. Getting high was much more important than actually taking care of their parents' home or trying to salvage it or having a job. And back in those days, in the 80s, it was wasn't as bad as it is. Young black people were not killing each other at a rate as these youngsters are doing it now. They were more so at a combat in regards to selling drugs in areas, and um, who had the biggest car and all. Of course, that's all it was. But most of the drug dealers in those days, they didn't really do too much. They just kept in their own little neighborhoods. You had Emmanuel Lewis over here. You had Anthony Flowers here, and they pretty much stayed to themselves. But the youngsters these days, hey, they want it all. They get in. They don't have a value of life. So don't get me wrong, it was a lot of killing and so forth and so on in those days. I was married to a drug dealer, so I was up close and personal when it was going on. He went to jail, and I found myself involved in that culture. Even that's how I got started um, smoking crack. So it becomes a vicious cycle, and people get caught up, and some people come out, some people don't, and that's a vicious cycle. But it all stems from a sense of failure
Hmm.
and losing.
And trying to numb the pain.
I came from a middle class family. I had both of my parents. My mom, both my dad was a professor, my mom was a principal. So it had nothing to do with economics, as far as that concerned. It had a whole lot to do with the fact of trying to keep up with my peers, I guess. Okay, and riding around in a Cadillac and being trying to impress them and do. Not really understanding this is not really understanding the ramifications of what's going on around you, because I wasn't keen on what was happening as far as my community was concerned. I had a sister who was a Black Panther Party, was involved in the Black Panther Party. Didn't like the way things were going, and so there was a confusion with me trying to sustain with her and gain my identity, and also trying to live this fast life. So that was a conflict, and a lot of people in my era went through that because they had older siblings that either they were militant or they were in the life. You have very few that was in the middle, that was out having a job, so forth and so on.
So it's like extremes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, being in that marriage with the drug dealer, you said that was your first marriage. What was that like for you, and how old were you?
Woo! I was I married. Shoot. Ooh, that wow. I learned so much. See, everything that I went through, I learned a lot.
Mhm.
And I'm so thankful that God was able to teach me and learn lessons. I didn't have a lot of book, but I had a whole lot of life lessons, and they were more valuable than any book lessons that I could have possibly had. Due to the fact that I married a man that was abusive, because I thought I could change him.
Mm.
Don't know where I felt at, but at any cost, I felt like I could change him. And I was 25 years old. Got married. We stayed married. I was with him. Let me say this. Let me say this before this. I was with him 3 years. Then we got married because he felt he would feel more secure. Not me. He would feel more secure if we got married. Got married. The night that we got married, he beat me up
Wow.
badly. Okay. Um, because of jealousy. He was jealous of the relationships that I had with my siblings and my mom. And so he felt threatened every time they would come around. So at any cost, I didn't realize that, and I always felt like I could change him, which da da da, that would not happen. But he got on drugs badly too, which had him starting to hallucinate. And one day, I don't know where it came from, but I had it up to my eyebrows of being accused of sleeping around. And so I got the strength up. He left, and I got up, didn't have no clothes. I had 26 cents, and this is the truth. And I relate to when Ike and Tina Turner had that movie, and she left and went to because I had less than she did. and just walked away with nothing. Um, and in increment of all that, he burned up every stitch of clothes I owned. He had a barbecue.
Oh my god.
Wow.
He burned up, and when I say every stitch, I didn't have a pair of panties. So, but I'm also embarrassed, and that's why I talk to women, young women who be with men that get abused. I try to give them game in regards to if they hit you once, they're gonna keep on hitting you. That's the first thing. Second thing is that you, anytime somebody hits you to try to make you obey them, then that's not love. You have to distinguish the two. So I I do a group with these young females who's been into abusive relationships, and because of from my experience that they feel like, how did I get out? And you know, I walked away. Um, I couldn't take it no more. He had broke my jaw before, broke my arm. He's chased me down the street, butthole, booty hole naked. I had to run up into somebody's house that I didn't freaking know, and they had to cover me on in a blanket. I had to call the police. They didn't come for 4 hours. So it's like you have to do things on your own in order to survive. And when you make up in your mind that this is it, then it can be done. Now, I'm on top of this, I was embarrassed to go to my family because, first of all, my mom would have been like, I told you not to marry him. I told you. And that's something you really don't want to hear because she was right. And as a child, you don't want to hear what's right sometimes. You want to try to prove your parents wrong. And that's where I tell these young ladies, don't try to prove them wrong. Listen to them because guess what? They be knowing sometimes what they talking about because they done been there, done that because you don't know what they've been through. That doesn't mean they don't know what they're talking about. Because my mom had been through something with my dad. So she was able to look at it and see what it was. But I also had to go through it in order for me to be able to talk to somebody else to not have them go through it.
Right, to learn and to be able to pass on that knowledge.
How can they get out of it and still be a whole person?
Yeah.
So, me being on the streets, that's the first time when I left him.
That was your first bout with homelessness when you
Yes,
left the abusive relationship?
yes.
Okay.
That's the first time because I didn't want to go to my mom and be like, well, yeah, well, mom, I left him. She would have been like, oh, for the how many times has that been? Well, okay, we don't want to do that. So they don't want to hear that story. So I left him and then I called my older sister and she was like, well, I don't really want to deal with Carl coming back and forth and coming to get you because that's what our track record was. And I was like, I'm really serious. Then you have that point where they don't believe you because you done this before, you know? And so I didn't want to go through that. So I just said, I made my bed. Let me lie in it for a minute.
Mhm.
So I started hanging out at a Royal VA Oak Park. And that's where I stayed there for about 4 months, and a girlfriend came and got me, and I went and stayed with her. Okay, got on my feet again, and then after I left Sharon's place, then I went back home to my mom's, got myself together, and got involved with another group of people that had me because I was very at that time computer savvy, and um, started doing some things illegally which got me caught up, and I went and had to do time. Okay. Uh, and several states. Well, not several states. What happened was I did time in California and I did some in Texas and got extradited to Oklahoma. So the last time that I went to jail, I made up in my mind that this was it. Couldn't do it no more. It didn't make sense. I had to stop. No matter how much money I made, it wasn't it was cracked up to be, because I ended up giving it away. It was like, what am I doing it for? I'm giving it away. I'm not even keeping any of the proceeds. It's like I'm giving it to family members. I'm giving it, I don't know, just doing it just to be doing it. So that would seem like a waste. And I can remember my brother telling me it's nothing like wasted talent. You got a talent for doing something, but you chose to do it for whatever means that you felt like it was. But I did it, and I know why I did it. I did it because I thought it would give me some kind of kudos, but it actually, or respect. But in all fairness, the last time I went to jail, which was in Oklahoma, I made up my mind and said that I would not go back, and I didn't. But in the interim of that, I became homeless again,
Mhm.
because my mom had moved in with my sister. And so when I left my mother's house, they couldn't leave my mom where she was staying by herself. So they had her move in with my sister. So that left me with nowhere to go. So here I go again. I'm out in the street. But by the grace of God, I got into a program that the state of California had offered, a step up program that for ex felons. I got into this program, and I went through the whole, I think it was 8 weeks. I think I did. Yeah, I think it was 8 weeks. I'm not sure how long it was, but it was extensive amount of time that I literally walked from Arroyo Viejo Park all the way to downtown Oakland every single day to get to this class, because this class was an opportunity for me to get into the Section 8 voucher
Okay.
and to get my record expunged so I can be employable. So that was a decisive measure for me to get up off my behind, and then I was losing weight like it was nothing at that point.
Was that a part of the resources you gained, after you were homeless the second time? Because I know you were homeless the first time for, like, a year, and then the second time you were homeless for, like, 3 years, and I know that you met a gentleman that kind of, helped you and provided you with some resources, so is that a part of the resources that were provided to you from him?
Yeah, he gave me who to reach out to. He told me who to contact. And he was the one who told me what you can do. There's programs that you can go down here, go down to the da 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 da, go down to the Section 8 Housing Authority. You are a prime, example of what they're looking for in this particular program.
Your friend, had it not been for him, would you have known about the program?
I don't think so.
Like, on your
Mm-mm.
own?
No.
No, okay, so that's kind of what, if it wasn't for his knowledge, you basically would not have had any resources to get yourself out of the situation.
No, I didn't have any avenues. I didn't have no cell phone. I didn't have anyone. You know what I'm saying? It's like I didn't have any way to get any kind of that type of information. Once I got released from the court system, you on your own. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you got to figure it out. So it's kind of like he was like a guide.
What kind of toll did that have on you mentally? Like, how was that, like, to survive through that? Just to get out, not have any resources, and then be on the streets, especially as a woman.
It's scary. But let me say this. See, everything that I went through, it prepared me for the next venture in my life. And then when I say adventure, this is a journey. Okay. So I always had to understand that this was not going to be it for me. I knew that there was much going to be more. It had to be, because I know that my heart was nothing like what my condition or my situation was. So I knew who I was. It was just that I let other things get in my way. So I had to understand that here we go. This is another one of them pitfalls. But see, I believe that you get tested, and what you do with that fall down, that defines who you're gonna be. Well,
Yes, ma'am.
I fell down a few times, but now I'm at a place in life where I'm helping so many other people because I had those experiences. I couldn't talk to the people that I talked to if I didn't experience it because a lot of people, and even with myself, they're not going to listen to a book because they don't have the furthest thing about a book is not going to tell you what it's like to try to go and get something to eat and you ain't got a quarter.
Right.
They're
Right.
not going to tell you where to go when you need a clean pair of panties.
Right.
They ain't going a book can't tell you that. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just not on everyday living. It's just not that. And then out there on the streets, it's
It's a whole other world.
that's a whole another world. But when you can adapt to that, you can adapt to any and everything. Trust and believe me that. And the thing is that when you see everybody, when you see the people out there and you talk to them, and when the reason that they relate to me as well as they do is so open to me is the fact that they know that I've been there, done that. And I'm not blowing smoke up their behind. I'm not sitting up there coming from some agency trying to say, well, you can do this. Well, everybody know what they're capable of doing. It's just, do you have the desire to do it? Do you have the willpower? Do you have a resource?
Mhm.
Are you willing to stick your neck out for that person to go get them an Obama phone and tell them they can go to St. Vincent de Paul and charge it up? Are you able to help them go to social services and sign up for medical? Are you got the time to do that? Are you just coming out here to look good? Are you coming out here because you really want to help somebody? See, it's a difference when you see what's going on and then you think that this is just Christmas and Thanksgiving. No.
Right. This is a whole year round the clock situation. People do not have places to go.
7 day, 24-hour type of situation.
Yeah.
People are out here hungry, they homeless, they cold, they lost and turned out. They don't know if they're coming because some I sat on park benches and sat there on bus stops and be sitting there saying, wow, what the heck am I gonna do tomorrow? I got me a burger out the garbage can, but what am I gonna do tomorrow? Don't think because they're here that they don't think. Don't think because they in a situation that it seems like is useless that they don't think that they got some hope, sense of hope. And when they see a person who's been there, and I come down there on a consistent basis, because like a lot of them say, you don't even have to do this because you're not getting paid. And I'm no, but I care about y'all enough to know that somebody cared enough about me to tell me, to get in my ear that made a difference for me many moons ago. So if I can't do that for you, and maybe somebody will listen, or maybe somebody will say, well, can you do this for me? And like I had to tell them, I don't work no more.
Right. And Miss Diane, that's a perfect segue into the philanthropy that you do as far as you spend a lot of your own time and your own money preparing meals up to what, 3, 4 times a month? And you
Hmm.
take it to, homeless encampments around Oakland to feed, people that are currently there and unhoused, and that's what you're saying, a lot of people can relate to you because you can relate to them as well. Why do you feel that it is so important? Is it just that you see these people and you see yourself in them, and seeing that someone gave you a leg up, you can help do the same for them?
There's two reasons. One, because you're right, someone gave me a leg up. Two is because I made a promise to God that if He got me out of a situation, I would never turn my back on someone else who needed them. Um, and I believe this is a purpose because I literally have fed people didn't have a thing. I mean, the night before that, I sit here and say, I don't know what am I gonna do? How am I gonna feed these people? And I know that time had lapsed, and see, they have gotten so used to me coming at a specific time that they expect for me to come once a week. or she gonna bring breakfast, is she coming down here for lunch, or she coming down here, so they expect for, so I'm thinking about the times, and then the ladies that help me do this, they be like, so what are we doing? And I'm sitting here saying, well, I don't have nothing. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm supposed to go down there tomorrow, and I promise you, that morning, somebody will call and say, I got 18 loaves of bread. You can come over here and pick it up. My girlfriend say, hey, I went and got some tuna. Let's go get some eggs. Let's make some tuna fish sandwiches and get some chips. These are ladies that been dip. We've been doing this for 10 years. They they have always felt when I really needed it. It seems like they will pick up the phone and say, it's about that time, and what do you need? And each one of them have a task. We got one who gets the water. I have one who does the sweets. We have three that donate money because they don't have any other way of getting around. These are people that are disabled just like I am. These are women that on fixed incomes. They don't have no whole lot. They don't have no money. They just doing it because I started it, and they believe in what I'm trying to do, and they know that I've been there. And these ladies have gone through it too. They've gone through it too, and just like they said, D, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in my apartment. You took me down there to help me get my place. So I can't turn my back on you because you've helped me. So I got to help somebody because that's what you do. You pay it forward. You keep it moving, and hopefully everybody in the realm will get some kind of help. So yeah, those are the two things that kept me going in regards to it, is the fact that I knew that I was going to be um I had to, and I knew I was going to be able to.
Yeah.
And you know what? That sounds like the power of community. We're better together. And that's what I love about the Up Together organization. I'd love to know, how did you first hear about Up Together?
Well, let me say this. Do you realize that it was I I keep referring back to God because it was something that just popped up on my phone.
Hmm.
Never heard of it before in my life. Okay. And I'm a also I guess it's because I've always been involved in the Oakland community, and they have different avenues of, volunteering and da 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 da. This just popped up.
Mhm.
And I'm like, who is Up Together? And I hit it, and I'm like, oh. And they had this thing where you fill out the application, and not a month later, they said I had been approved. I'm so like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. So I'm like, okay. So from that point on, first of all, didn't believe it.
This was approval for, guaranteed income, correct?
Exactly. Let me say it. Didn't believe it. I thought, okay, so this is just something that they gonna say they doing, but in reality, it's not gonna happen. Okay. So I wasn't expecting it. I'm being honest with you. It was like, okay, they just wanted to fill in a little, I don't know, fill in just to say that they did, but it's not gonna really materialize. Okay. So I didn't even pay any attention. And then I got this another email stating that they needed my banking information. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute, this my.
Oh, it's real.
And then I kept reading up on it, and I was like, oh, well, this is sound, okay. Then I started talking to the different people that were involved with it here, and I was like, these ladies are cool, okay. We're on the same page. And then it's like they have given me food, like they have had different things that was going on, and like they would say, come and pick up the food so you can feed the homeless. Come on, that's like right up my alley, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. So it's not just they're not just trying to do something because of policy or anything. They're doing it because they really believe, genuinely trying to help the community. I'm with that 100%. So that's why I have told everyone in my circle that this organization is not something that they say something but means something
They mean
different.
what they say and they say what they mean. Now, Miss Diane, I do want to ask you, just going back to the money, right? If you'd gotten this money from Up Together while you were unhoused, how do you think it would have impacted your situation?
I don't think I would have been homeless as long as I was. One, two, I think it would have made me. Oh, that would be hard because I didn't have a bank account. Well, I'm not going to think about all that. But it would have made it a little bit not a whole lot easier on survival. I would have been able to probably secure me a place to live. Because let's face it, no one can live anywhere for free. So I could have used that to say, can I come stay at your house? I got $300. Can
Yeah.
I come sleep on your couch for a few days till I and or some of my girlfriends, I probably, you don't a woman in my age, you don't really want to not come with nothing. Okay. You want to be able to say, can I contribute? um, and then they're having it just as bad or harder as you are, and so you want to be able to say, well, maybe I can buy some food. Can I help you with the PG&E bill? That would have got me over the door. Whereas they would be like, she's not just trying to be a freeloader, and that's the situation with a lot of people that they don't have the monetary income to go to a family member because nobody this day and age is hard. It's hard economically. You can't take care of anybody. I'm sorry, it's not like it used to be. You got to have some kind of resource, monetary resource. I mean, it's like people are now starting to understand that the way the economy is that every dime helps. It used to be two incomes, now it's three or four incomes. It's gas, food, housing. It's hard. So if you come and say, well, let me help pay the cable bill or PG&E bill, at that time I wouldn't have been out on the streets as long as I was, because I would have been feeling like, well, let me come at you, and I know I'm gonna get this every month for at least a year. Can I just can I give you guys $300 for me to come and let me try to stay with you until I get myself together? And my friends would have been like, yeah, D, come on, you know, because they know I'm trying more than accommodating due to the fact that they see that I'm trying, right? Nobody is going to help anybody not putting forth no effort. And as hard as it is, even let me say, even the guys and the females that I deal with on a consistent basis, they go and they do recycling. They offer their recycling money to me because they thankful that I'm now. I'm looking at them like, hey, wait. They said, we know you ain't got no money. We all in the same boat, but let me go and give you $5 towards. Let me give you $5 towards getting this. Come on, let me help you to help me, right? So I'm like, no, 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 that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I really need you to understand that we got to help each other. This is what I'm trying to get back to, our community helping one another. That's what I want you to understand. We don't have to always be expecting something. Always. We don't need that. I don't want them to do that. Okay. So but it's heart wrenching for them to take the little they have and offer it,
Wow.
right?
Wow. Wow.
Come on now. So that makes me want to come back too. And every last one of them are appreciative.
Hmm.
Everyone, last one of them, they're very protective of me because they call me auntie. That's a respect thing in our community.
Yes.
And they say when someone is trying to be obnoxious because they don't know, you ain't finna do that with auntie. No, 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 no. Because if she stop coming around because of you, you can't come around. And that's how they feel. So it's like, what do you do with that? If that's not showing me love, what does that sound like to me? That sounds like love to me.
That's the strength of the community.
I love you. I respect you. we acknowledge the fact that you coming down here out of every week, come come sunshine, rain, sleet, or snow, you're down here, and I'm doing it. And my girlfriends, my husband, my little niece, you know, 7 years old. She's into it. I've had her doing it ever since she was 2. So, because I want her to understand, I don't want you to think that everything just falls out the sky. It's just beautiful. Santa Claus, woo, that's not life. I want her to understand that to get you got to do some giving, you know. And she knows Auntie ain't playing about being mean, unkind, or not caring. And her mom tells me now, you done created a monster. I can't pass a homeless person without while Aria sitting there saying, you need to go get them some water. Go get them some chips or something.
I love it.
You know, they're saying, Alicia, you mean to tell me, your baby does? She said, Auntie, I can't afford to feed all the homeless people Ari want me to feed. I'm like, but I can't stop it because I love it. She be sincere. She says, Mom, you could take my money. And I'm like, okay, so what do you do with that? You got to keep it pushing. And I'm so thankful that I was able to show her, and she understands that Auntie has not always had the most princeless drive. Okay, her life has not always been peaches and cream, and I've shared it with her. She's understand that. I'd rather me tell her than someone else tell her. Um, so when she and I have conversations, because she's a very astute child, because of our conversations, that everything that the reason why I'm the way that I am, because she has asked me some hard questions, and I have to have an answer for her, and I want her to understand that I have not been an angel. I have not done everything correctly, but I've learned from all my mistakes. And there's nothing wrong with making a mistake.
Nope, not at all.
If you don't stand up, you'll fall for anything. And I tell her that all the time. So it's like she understands that I always have this thing that I want her to be better than I was or do better than I have done.
Yeah,
But she also understands that there's a sense of kindness in everything, and that doesn't cost you a dime.
Nope.
absolutely.
Thing to smile at somebody. It doesn't cost you a dime to say hello. It doesn't cost you a dime, and nobody is better than the next person. Because you live in a house, don't mean you better than that person out on the streets. Because you don't know that story. I told her and said your auntie was living on the streets, Aria. So make you feeling different now? She was like, no. Mm. She said, I still would come see you.
I love that you're teaching her kindness, 'cause kindness goes a long way, and children, I wanna say, are more impacted by it than adults when they see people either being kind or being unkind. They feel it more than we do as adults, and I love that. I love that for your family and for her.
Yeah, bad behavior is taught. Hatred is taught. That's not something that a child just wakes up and say, I hate you because of whatever the reason is. That's something that's taught. That's not something she's gonna learn in our house. Her mom don't
Yeah,
believe it. I don't. Her grandmamas, we don't do that. We're not, no, we're not a part of that. So the bottom line is that she understands that, and Aria has no sense of being different. She can be around Down syndrome children, still wants to play with them. She can be
yeah,
deaf, she don't care. It's because they're kids. Bottom line, they're children. Let's have fun. Let's do this. I don't care where you live. I don't care what's going on with you, but let's go play at the park. And we have this one park where it's highly diversified, where you have children that are handicapped and also black and white, Oriental, Italian, whatever. And that's where she likes to go play because I've been taking her there ever since she was 3 months old. I get her in the little bucket swing, and we've been going there ever since that time. And she has learned to adapt to any situation And that's what I want her to be able to. And her mom is appreciative because her mother is trying to also encourage her to be more diversified, okay,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
her upbringing because
absolutely.
because
It's the best way to go. Yeah.
I want her to understand she can't always pick and choose what's supposed to happen because as soon as you pick, some difference gonna happen. But you can't be thrown about something that's incorrect or been wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't want her to get thrown because of obstacles or misgivings or hardships or because that's life.
And Mr. Let's be real, adaptability is a superpower, especially nowadays with the type of economy that we're in and just how housing even being how it is now. I mean, housing, especially out in California where you guys is ridiculously expensive. And speaking of that, I wanted to switch gears real quick because that reminded me you had made a comment about real estate in Oakland. So a lot of cities, like Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, they're experimenting with programs that, are creating, like, micro communities for the homeless,
Hmm.
and, and it's basically safe places for people to go and live, and then many of them eventually transition out because they just needed a safe space to kind of get themselves together, so to speak,
Right.
um, find a job and be able to kind of get back into that rhythm of finding a job, getting a job, then being able to get to a job, in clean clothes and a fresh out the shower, very simple things like that.
Hmm.
You have made mention that in Oakland, in your community, there are a lot of vacant buildings,
Right.
that aren't being put to use. How do you think that might be a solution, to use maybe some of these vacant buildings in that community, to go towards homeless housing and micro communities, that are kind of popping out in different cities?
Well, you know what? Let me say this: in the brothers and sisters that I have encountered, a lot of those people, a lot of them are talented, and they have a lot of talent in regards to electricity, plumbing, etc., etc. Wasted talent, as I said, and someone had said to me about wasting talent is such a hardship for anyone. The thing is that the whole premise of those vacant places, they're not making a dime off of them. They're just sitting there.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So they being dilapidated, they could keep them up. If they would have housing for the pretense of having maybe a contract drawn between the tenant and the actual person who's running it, because right now the city of Oakland has so many vacant warehouses is that is unbelievable. There should not be a person homeless in Oakland. Let me give you okay. From Jack London Square to Grand Avenue, there's 410 warehouses vacant. I counted them.
Wow.
I went down streets. How is it that we got homeless people and you got 410 buildings in a matter of let me see, Jack London to West Grand is maybe 3 miles, maybe.
Wow. 403 miles. Yeah, that's wild.
And see, a lot of the business has gone out. A lot of the businesses has gone out of business downtown Oakland, and so
Okay.
and then you have because of COVID or whatever the situation may be, but they have a lot of them that right now are boarded up. Where let me prime example, Greyhound bus station. It used to be a flourishing. It is closed down because of the business have the people have broke into it, them moved into it because it wasn't being used. They have actually made beautified it because they have made murals all around it. It's gorgeous now. That's a prime example of what could happen if you allow them to stay in there. Now, the problem being with that is that now they're saying they trespassing. Well, okay, so what is the choice? You rather them trespass and be out on the streets? What looks worse?
Right. To our knowledge, California's governor just signed an executive order, encouraging local governments to clear encampments across the state. So, even though it's not widely in effect yet, San Francisco city officials, they started saying that they're starting to clean up, homeless encampments, right? And I get it, right? Like you said, what looks better to get them somewhere indoors or have them out, in plain view of a park or, like a monument that's somewhere around down in a downtown area. What do you think is missing from these government officials? Because these government officials are signing all of these things into effect, but what is their plan? Do we need more public funding? Do we need federal funding? Do we, like, where are we gonna get, the funding to be able to make some of these buildings into, actual places where people who are unhoused have a place to go?
Well, the strangest thing that since you mentioned that is that politically, um, if you notice that around the time, let me get back to this. One of the largest encampments that I just was contributing to, they just cleaned it up. Ironically, right before the election, our mayor is up for recall. Okay,
Mm,
and that's Cleveland's
okay.
largest encampment in Oakland. So let's say, this is what's her policy. I want to clean up homelessness because she used to be homeless. Okay, wait a minute. Time out. Time out. Time out. First of all, I was homeless. I had never seen
Mhm.
you come nowhere near a homeless encampment until now. Okay, now that Governor Newsom sits here and says, "Well, we want you to clean it up because we need to have thoroughfares cleaned up. The streets needs to be." Okay, so she cleans up this one huge encampment. When I say that, I was anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 people was populating this area. Okay, this was from 27th Street to West Grand, which is a exactly 7 blocks. Okay,
Okay.
they come through there with like hurricane, shoo, cleaned it all up, matter of 24 hours. Where did the people go?
They cleaned up the area, but where did the people go? They just up and disappeared.
Oh, and I know this to be true because for one time I had counted some dinners that I had done, and I had 500 at one time, and another three. That's eight. And then I ran out and came back, and I'm sitting there saying, "Okay, this is like 1,600 people." And what happened was they closed down another large encampment on Wood Street in West Oakland, and they came and emerged over here on West Martin Luther King. Okay, so then here it comes. It doubled in a matter of overnight of the population.
Okay, so it's just kind of merging around. And as they clean and I say clean up in, like, quotations, but, like, they clean up and then it merges.
What did you do with them? Where did you put these people? These people in the wheelchairs. These people. Where'd they go? I know you ain't housed no 1,500 people because your lower housing idea, quote unquote, low housing is $1,600 a month. If you ain't getting but 300, how's that low housing? Come on, I'm talking.
Did you say 1,600?
I'm trying to figure that one out. That economically, that's not making sense to me. That's low housing. Okay, so
What? Yeah.
I go down there to find my folks because I'm concerned. First of all, they didn't even give them any kind of warning. I went down and found my people. They are so spread out amongst that area, still lost and turned out. You didn't do anything. You just made it exasperated throughout other neighborhoods. That's all you did. Okay. Now, every last one of them was like, you know, so what we supposed to do now? I said, what did they do with you guys' stuff? They was like, they just took it. I said, your clothes? Now, mind you, my family was giving them clothes. When I'm talking about, my nephew had just a week prior cleaned out his closet and gave him socks and underwear and t-shirts and big nice jackets for the winter. We getting ready for the winter. They just took them. Okay, and you asked me a question. You know what happened? People have forgotten about people. That's what's happened. They could care less. about the people that's out on the streets because first of all, they have all lumped them in one big old thing. They're drug addicts, they're mental illness, they're not worthy. And so what? We just want them out of sight, out of mind, but they're not out of sight, out of mind. Everybody is worthy. I don't care who you are, where you come from, where you live, how you see things. Everybody's worthy. So you sitting there making these decisions because you thinking that is resolving a problem. You can't resolve the problem until you have an issue where people are being placed somewhere permanently. And if it's not costing you a dime, why don't you put them in these empty warehouses? You ain't making a dime no way. Ain't no property taxes being met. Ain't no electricity being paid. Ain't no water being done. So why can't you let them stay in these places? All that little area that I'm talking about, there is so many buildings so closed up that these people can live in there and they will live in there and keep it clean. All they need is structure. That's all they want. Is somebody, and I even told one lady, I said, shoot, me, we could go down there and make sure they keep it clean. All they would need is a cot, a little storage area to keep their stuff in, and get them some electricity. And they would even go get general assistance until they got themselves on their feet. They would do their little food stamps. They would do whatever it takes. I've talked to them. They won't help. Just don't know how to do it. They don't. Mind you, could be drugs. They might need to be taken by the hand. Okay. That's only taking time.
That's a very valid point. Yes, there are people who are unhoused that do require more assistance than others because they might be struggling with an addiction, they might be struggling with mental health issues, but people don't realize regular people are just one paycheck away from homelessness. I mean, no lie, and it's a lot of people that are out on the streets, they just need help finding a job. They just and like you said, I mean, I'm sorry, my head is still reeling from the fact that you said the low income, apartments are 1,600 a month. I don't know what person that can't afford to barely even pay for gas can afford 1,600 a month. Candy, are you with me here? I mean, I know you guys live in, I mean, California is ridiculous, but
Yeah,
right?
I mean, honestly, I don't share this a lot, but at one point in time in my life, I was unhoused with my family before we were taken into foster care. And everything that you're saying, I hear it and I feel it. And people have completely lost their humanity. And what I'm also hearing is that we need people who have lived experience. And that this is a conversation that I have all the time in the foster care community, but we need people with lived experience, just like you, Diane, that can go back, right? Because your heart for the matter is different, and you're placing people into these facilities or into these communities that don't care. They're just doing a job. It's just a job for them. It's just a paycheck for them. So there is nothing like for them. This is an annoyance. It's a it's like they don't get it. They don't understand why these people need to be treated like human beings. They need to be treated like people, and I've had a conversation with so many people, especially in LA, because I live a block away from Skid Row, literally a block away. I see it every day. I'm constantly praying over so many people when I'm in my car. Like, how can you be in this community and not feel anything? Because the wealth gap it's ridiculous. And in LA, you're right, there's so many warehouses, and they've actually taken a warehouse and they've started to put people into that warehouse. And the only thing that I could think about is like, okay, who do you have like creating structure in this facility? Because if it's not done right, it's going to feel like prison. It's going to be run like prison, instead of giving these people opportunities to rehabilitate themselves, giving these people an opportunity to have a second chance at life. Just like what Kevin did for you, and he gave you resources. That is exactly what Up Together is doing for so many people across the country. And that's why we have the privilege of sitting here right now with you. So we feel you, and we see you, Diane. We do.
Absolutely correct. I mean, it is so frustrating sometimes that I people say I get so passionate, no, and angry, and I'm frustrated due to the fact that it really, when it's all said and done, it doesn't cost a lot to house people. It really doesn't. If it's done it can be done very strategically if want to. But they okay. Let me say this. Oakland just had got allotted something like $11 million for homelessness. Okay. Um, our mayor got asked the question, where's the money? What are you doing with it?
Talk about it.
So the question, they blocked me. They won't even let me go to a town meeting. Um,
Listen,
You doing something right.
don't let down, Diane. Don't let down.
no, they see, and I've tried to go through other people's email. Soon as I get a question in, shut it down. So it's like, okay, because the question that I have to ask is, you rather fix streets? And no, okay, I understand. I got a car. You don't want it to be all damaged because of the potholes and whatever. But you mean to tell me you're paying $11 million for some streets when you got people out here on the streets living?
Right.
So you want me to believe that you more concerned about a car opposed to a living, breathing, God created creature? Child? Are you serious? You want me to believe that? But my thing is, you got International Boulevard with these cones going down the middle of the street that you want us to believe that cost $6 million to build. Are you thinking people stupid? Because that doesn't make sense. You're going to take for literally housing from people who are outside opposed to fixing some craziness on this boulevard. I'm just confused. Where do you think people actually gonna believe that? Now, this particular mayor, she said she was homeless. Now that was convenient when she needed to be elected. I don't know anybody that's been homeless that just completely just goes out their brain.
Talk about it.
If nothing else, you remember that.
You don't ever forget it.
Even if you are housed and you got 4 properties and you're living the life, you can't forgive sleeping on the porch on somebody's bench. I don't care who you are.
No.
Tyler Perry slept in cars. He can't forget that. You know, there's people who's been successful that cannot forget the fact that they done live somewhere that was not apropos. But this woman has forgotten. Because if she remembered, I think she would be a little bit more compassionate towards that community.
Right.
But she's not. And so when you ask her about, so what happens to the empathy that you might supposed to project to the community that you came up from?
Miss Diane, you got me over here crying, girl.
Not you literally came up. You said you and your child slept in a car. So you know what it feels like, right? But you have no empathy for these people? Are you crazy? Do you actually think I believe you? No, because you're not, now you're making it seem like other people are stupid. See, I don't go with stupidity, and I don't go with a liar being the way that you are just because you wanted to quote unquote get elected, and 6 months after you get elected you asked for a pay raise that you did nothing for. See, I led the recall. I was one of the ones who said, let's do this, because this woman here does not deserve to be no mayor of Oakland, California. I'm sorry, she doesn't. We've had some pretty good, decent leaders. She ain't one of them, because she could care less about the people. She more concerned about economics. Okay, Jack London Square in West Oakland. West Oakland is considered now a hub for San Francisco. So now you have the yuppies moving into West Oakland because West Oakland is cheaper than San Francisco. So now it's just a little BART ride across the water and they can save thousands of dollars in rental staying in West Oakland. But see, all everybody moved out. They done moved everybody out from. And I'm talking about the black community. Everybody's out of West Oakland, and now here we go again. We got Caucasians. Now it's just amazing how people fall for anything, and strategically this has been done time and time and time again. But what we do not understand what is going on now, the ramifications of all this, and you could come in 5 years. You can mark what I'm saying. Oakland, the the black sheep of the Bay Area right now. Watch it, see in 5 years what happens. It's going to go right back to where it was in 1968. I promise you.
Mm.
What's happening now? They strategically moved the black race to Antioch, Concord, Walnut Creek, the suburbs, because it's more, it's cost less, and that's what we chased. But now, what's going to happen is that Caucasians is going to move back to the to Oakland, because Oakland is prime real estate. Okay, you could get anywhere in Oakland 45, 20 minutes, anywhere. Plus, you're right across the bridge from San Francisco. That's a hub. You nowhere from Sacramento. You're nowhere from San Jose. You could go to Antioch in 30 minutes. So it's like, and then the gas price, that's making them come back, because check this out. I have most of my family is in Antioch, so I travel Antioch to Oakland quite frequently. I watch. There's so much traffic coming back to Oakland because that's where the jobs are. Ain't no jobs in Antioch. So they getting tired of that commute because it take 2 hours. My nephew drives it every day. He said it takes him an hour and a half to 2 hours to get from Antioch to Oakland to get to work. They're getting tired of it. It's starting to be costly because he said he spent anywhere from $100 to $150 a week on gas back and forth. People are they're getting tired of it, and you working in Oakland, but you living in Antioch. They
Yeah.
saying, okay, this is getting to be too much. I'm first of all, I'm on the highway too much. I'm not even being able to really spend time at home, but on the weekends, because and don't let an accident happen. You might be out there for 4 or 5 hours.
Listen. Well, you know what, Miss Diane, I just want to say that your authenticity, your transparency has just been, it's been great to hear, and thank you for sharing your experiences. Your experiences. So many people are going to listen to this and they're going to say thank you. Literally, just sitting here, one of the things that comes to mind thinking about community and thinking about my time in homelessness, what I want to remind people of is, like you said, these are people too. So when you walk past them, look at them. Like, don't treat them like they're invisible, like they're not human beings, like they're,
Exactly.
you, like, look at them, treat them like, don't, put your nose up at them like no, treat them like human beings. And we have this segment called Free Game. And I feel like you've given so much free game. I'm literally over here like, me and Min are like, oh my goodness, yes, sis, yes, sis. You know, um, I think that this is a great way just to take it back home to your experience growing up in Oakland and how your community has changed. I want you to take this time to speak directly to our government officials, the nonprofits, and I want you to, what advice do you have? What do you want to say to these government officials about poverty and homelessness? Don't hold back, sis. Like, what do you want to say to them?
Stop looking at everything as the bottom line is being about dollars and cents. All that glitters is not gold. You can't expect anything to change without making a change. If you want to make a positive change, then you have to do it within yourself, and then it can't always go along with the norm. What I would say to anyone who in the political arena, take you out of the whole scenario and put others into it and see how you would feel if it was you. If you've never felt it, just take yourself out of it and put yourself in that person's position. I know it might be hard because you're not, it's really hard to deal with something that you never dealt with. But if you close your eyes, and then Tupac used to say, picture me rolling, picture you homeless, picture you hungry, picture you thirsty. And let's see how that rims and gets into your whole being. Because the thing is, when you're hungry and your stomach is bubbling, or you smelling like 9 pounds of boo boo, and you want to get clean and you can't, think about that. Think about the little things that you take for granted, like you can go in there and take you a shower with a bar of Dove, and they be thankful just to get my little packet of personal hygiene, and you sitting at home twiddling your thumbs and wondering what you gonna eat. They don't have that luxury. And I don't care what you think. You can say what you want to say. You can believe what you want to believe. But nobody should have to be succumbed to that. I don't care what choices they made out of life. If they decided to get on drugs, okay. That's a disease. Alcoholism is a disease. It should be treated as such. I mean, I know some good people. I've known some celebrities that's alcoholics, but they don't get treated like the homeless. What's the difference? Because they have nothing? Because are you looking at them because you feel they're nothing? Or it's because they have the money to go into a rehab and you guys choose to close your eyes to the fact that money is the root of all evil, whether you understand it or not. And it's also the root of the fact that the people that have it looks down on people who don't. You can't take humanity away. One day, you never know how things can turn. From my own aspect of life, it will turn just like you turn the doorknob. There's just as many rich people that are sick, that wish that they had health, that are unhappy. But I done met some people out there homeless that are happier than anybody that I met that call themselves the wealthiest people in the world. And the thing is that you guys think you're better, but you're really not, because I'm going back to Biggie.
Come on.
More money, problems. And that's pretty for part of course. And the thing is, and maybe some of them, you know, they want to be housed. That's not it. They just don't want the problems that goes along with it. Okay. And the more problems that they see that they have is because of what the community or world or government puts upon them. That's it. You know, it's just the fact that you want them to live up to your expectations. And the thing is that when the government started getting involved in families and not allowing a family to raise their family how the way they choose. And I'm not talking about being abusive. I'm talking about discipline. Look, my mom used to spank me, getting me good, but I guarantee you, I knew what respect was.
Come
I
on.
knew how to thank you. I knew my boundaries, and I knew how to say, no, 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 that ain't something I'm supposed to be doing. And that is what we have, that's what we were taught. So everything that goes on doesn't necessarily mean that because you stick your nose in it, you know the best for everybody. Because you don't.
Right.
You don't. Because all these little safeguards that you put in front of people may not fit everybody is not the same. Everybody can't be and you can't govern everybody the same because everybody has different instances in their lives. You know, everybody. You get just like they go through with their abortion and homelessness and sicknesses and AIDS and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They don't understand. Everybody has issues. And you need to let people be who they need to be when they need to be and how they need to be and leave them alone. Because the bottom line is, majority of people are going to do what they want to do. First of all, so that's where you have a problem. Second of all, you can only allow people to walk in their own path, and whatever they do with that is up to them. As long as they're not bothering anyone else, as long as they're not infringing on someone else's freedom, as long as they're not sitting up there trying to make them change who they are, how they thinking, where they believe, then why are you in somebody else's business? You know. The thing is that when you start taking away humanity, and you take a person's heart and you do a tap dance on it, then y'all don't get it. It's difficult for people to sit there and tell me, and I'm just being honest. Tell me who and what and how to love. Now I've had people say to me, "Why you keep going down there? You ain't gonna do nothing when COVID was going on. But you gonna do nothing? Well, first of all, I got to believe in what I'm doing. So if I'm gonna get sick, then let me get sick. But you're not gonna sit up there and put the sickness on me. Okay? So, and guess what? I've never had COVID. But you're not gonna make me be afraid.
That wasn't in your plan, yep.
Right, right, right.
That's not gonna stop me from going down there and feeding these people because they're still hungry. I don't care what they say. I'm masked up, put some gloves on, and guess what? They were masked up too. I take me some masks, give it to them, but it still happened, and it still worked.
Thank you so much. This was so much free game, and listen, I'm with you. Men is with you. The Up Together organization. We're all with you, and we couldn't agree more. This has been an absolute pleasure to have you join us today, and share your amazing experience of homelessness, your courage. You know that it took for you to share this raw, unfiltered story. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mena, do you have any last points that you'd like to make?
I think just reiterating what Miss Diane said is just having that humanity, and I think bottom line, we all need to be reminded of what it is because when you strip people's dignity from them, what else is left, you know? So, I appreciate you saying that.
I got one more to say. You as young women, if you see a young lady, woman, female, is being abused, take 5 minutes to talk to
Yeah.
her, okay?
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of them that's scared to say anything to another female because they feel a certain way. It takes a lot for them to come out because I know how it felt. So just because if you just even think the opening line to it is like, you know, you ain't by yourself.
Right.
Right.
Don't ever think you by yourself because somebody has gone through it just like you have. So, and that's where I opened up, and I'm concerned about some of our women. They're getting beat up, abused, and misused, and because they get to a point where they get I don't know, torn in between what love is and what love isn't, and I think they get confused. So I got my girlfriends, they trying to talk to, and it's a lot of young women out there that's just being tortured, and it's sad. It's a lot of them end up homeless because they leave situations that are abusive,
Yeah.
and they're young. I'm like, this one, she's 24 years old with two kids. What you gonna do? She's like, I don't know. What you think I should do? First of all, we're gonna get these kids out of here. You can't live in on no
Mhm.
children. That's the first thing we got to do. You don't have no family? She was like, no, not because my boyfriend, ran them all off.
Alienated them. Yeah.
But it's not hopeless. See, that's the thing I want her to get, and she's starting to get it. It's not hopeless. I got her a shelter down here on East 14th Street with her children. So it's just, some of our women needs to know that's not the end of the road.
Thank you so much, Ms. Diane, for the very important reminder. And again, you've dropped so many Great nuggets. And you're right. Like, our girls have to do better. Our men have to do better. We as a people, we have to do better. And that's exactly what we are doing with the Moving Up Together podcast. We're speaking directly to the issues and we're coming together as a community. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Diane.
Moving Up Together was created by the national nonprofit UpTogether and produced by Creative Differences. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.